In the world of Cyberpunk, in the city of the night, redemption is a word far from the minds of its populace. A city infested with sin, corruption, drugs, and anything that just rhymes with degeneracy. It's funny to think that such a world is a world we dream of thriving in. A world we seek to immerse ourselves in and somewhat thrive. A world in which where we wished for our choices to be penultimate in everything we did. And yet, even at that, we were robbed. But I'm not here to tell you the same story you've heard of for years. A story of failed promises, lies, and deception. No, I'm here to tell a different tale. A story of redemption. Before we can talk about Cyberpunk the game, we have to talk about Cyberpunk the genre. Yes, that is what Cyberpunk actually is, and believe me, I didn't even know this was an actual thing till I became invested in it. To be exact, it's a subgenre of science fiction set in a dystopian future, embracing a degraded society with the most advanced technology. Reminds me of another type of society. This genre was a part of the new wave science fiction movement in how science fiction was written in the 1960s and 70s, when iconic writers like Philip K. Dick, Michael Moorcock, Roger Zelazny, John Broomer, J.G. Ballard, Philip Joseph Farmer, and Harlan Ellison decided to take a different approach and examine not just how far we as humans could go in our search for better technology, but how our present-day problems could follow us well into the future if left unchecked, such as drugs, sexual fantasies, and much, much more. And for as quickly as it appeared in the forms of Blade Runner, Neuromancer, Judge Dredd, and The Matrix, it suddenly vanished, only to reappear a decade and some years later in movies like Alita Battle Angel and shows like Altered Carbon. But even then, no one really looked into the genre as a whole, to the point that people till this day fail to watch the critically acclaimed Blade Runner 2049, which I deem as straight up criminal. But then again, like I said, no one really noticed or realized how common this one genre was until, well, Cyberpunk. Let me get this out of the way. 90% of people weren't excited because Cyberpunk was a Cyberpunk game, but because Cyberpunk was a CD Projekt game. I sat down and went through Reddit forums to actually understand why people were actually hyped up for this game, and I either came away with it's a futuristic Grand Theft Auto or just a AAA game from CD Projekt, who at the time was seen as one of the most trustworthy AAA studios out there, for obvious reasons, being their Witcher series. So it was obvious that fans were pretty much showing up to a new genre of gaming with gleeful and expecting eyes. And why wouldn't they be? Look at its predecessor, The Witcher. It was seen as amazing not because it looked good or felt good, but because it was genuinely good. The freedom and story branches created this perception of immersion that is still regarded as an industry standard that is yet to even be matched by many AAA companies today. Sadly though, that's not what we got or completely got. See, Cyberpunk made its name as the biggest flop of the decade. I know that's funny because the game literally sold 13 million copies on its day one release, the highest any game has ever sold on day one. A game mirrored to be revolutionary and groundbreaking was marred by game-breaking bugs, glitches, and all this was made even worse by the poor performances on old-gen consoles, with the gameplay experience being vastly different, with the game not even needing to be released on them, period. The game suffered from hype and the recoil was tremendous. Refunds, lawsuits, investigations, layoff. It was simply a mess, with the company even coming under fire for more than just its poor game. It seemed as though both company and game would never come back, and it's clear to see why. Even after many patches and updates, people just didn't care. But the game would find its feet again in the most unlikeliest of mediums. It's not really news of a game garnering more fans through shows, whether it be an anime or live action. For instance, God Eater received an anime adaptation in 2015, which was really good, but funny enough, a lot of people didn't even know it was a game and hope for a season 2, which we'll obviously never get, or Things such as Tales of Cesteria or Bisteria, depending on what fan base you're on. In fact, it's so common amongst franchises to expand their circle to maximize their reach, oftentimes just creating poor products or just enough content to gather reach or tell a story they are too lazy to tell themselves in their own games. But sometimes you get gems that are so good you become surprised as to the fact that such a world, lore, or franchise even exists, and thus you crave for more, and luckily there's a pile of content to be had right after. In some cases the show is even better than the actual game. Examples such as Arcane. For years League of Legends has been regarded as the juggernaut of online gaming, yet no one has even batted an eye to consider how it has one of, if not the best lore in all of gaming. And we got a glimpse of that in the masterfully crafted Arcane, which simply blew the ball right out of the park, creating one of the best gaming adaptations ever since Castlevania. But sadly, even though you did fall in love with these franchises at face value, when you press for more, you are greeted with old or outdated gaming such as that of League of Legends. Because we all know League of Legends is shit. But unlike Castlevania, of course, I'm not shitting on that, which was simply amazing, but Edgerunners did something different. Somehow in the dark world of Night City, a story was told about a boy and a girl who fell in love in a neon city, and how that one story led to a glimpse of how an ugly world could share an emotional tale of camaraderie. A story so bold it made you remember Cyberpunk 2077, and when we returned to it we found something different. A game not completely buggy, a polished, refined product. Sure, everyone said Cyberpunk was better, but we didn't care because we were lied to. But somehow CD Projekt said sorry, and after 2 years we forgave them, and we agreed to a story that was always good, a world that was always beautifully dark. We finally got to be a cyberpunk in a cyberpunk world. One of the key things of redemption is rebirth, and that's sadly something games can't really do well, unless they make something completely different, completely new, or just build on the good and fix the bad. And funny enough, though I say this, that's something Cyberpunk has managed to do. It has gone from flop of the decade, and the decade is funny enough still young, to the most hyped comebacks of the decade. There's no doubt though we try to be skeptical, we are all secretly hyped for Phantom Liberty, a chance to relive this world in a way it's meant to be played. With the September patch looming, it seems we'll get way more than just a new DLC in September, but a new game. And I'm not here to talk about specifics or hype anything up, but to simply tell a story of how we were once told to dream and we woke up to a nightmare. But yet how even then redemption isn't something far from us all, whether it be a game or an aspect in life. How second chances do exist, and how some people or companies actually do take it seriously, and how not everyone is EA. And though it would be better to not flop at the start, sometimes our human side takes over and we do fail. But remember, our successes are never learned from the previous triumphs, but rather we learn from our failures. Yet hopefully the expectation, no matter how high or low we set for Cyberpunk, can be fulfilled, and even better, serve as a fact that anyone can find redemption, no matter how low we fall.